Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. This is Lovie's Pearls, a nonprofit organization that was created to empower teen moms through education, life coaching, and permanent housing. The purpose of Lovie's Pearls is to protect those teen moms who find themselves homeless, prey to human traffickers, just in need of inspiration, in need of someone that cares for them and who will inspire them and encourage them to succeed in life. So this morning we have with us former teen moms who I know personally and know their stories and know that they have overcome, they are successful, they are women of God, they are encouraging, and we're just going to hear from them and let them speak and explain why Lovie's Pearls is such a vital organization for those teen moms that we interact with. And so we also have with us Dr. Ogletree. She is a licensed professional counselor supervisor, and she works as a parenting education coordinator for teen parents in one of our local school districts. So she is here with us. I thank her so much for the opportunity to engage with her students and work with them through Lovie's Pearls. And so we're going to have a conversation today and just talk about what it is to be a teen mom and how important it is to have support. So with that, Dr. Ogletree, I'm going to turn it over to you to, I'm sorry, no, first we're going to let the teen moms introduce themselves, I'm sorry. So let me first go with Nicole Campbell, because you're first on my screen. And so give us a few minutes of your story and who you are.
My name is Nicole Campbell. I am a mother of two. I had my first son at the age of 17. So being a teen mom was probably the scariest things for me, but with support, I was able to raise my son in a manner where I felt like that, it was just going to be so hard, and I was just contemplating on, should I keep this child or should I not keep this child? So I dealt with that because I grew up where you felt like you was frowned upon if you did have a child out of wedlock or had a child at a young age. But thank God I was raised in a household of people who believed in the word of God and just helped me to be a successful teen mom.
Awesome. Thank you, Nicole. And so next up, we have Shandell Strickland.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. My name is Shandell Strickland, and I had my son just like you, Nicole, when I was 17. And so I'm a mother of three now. And just looking back, when first becoming a teen mom, I was in high school. And just talking about the support that is so vital to young mothers who are going through this situation. My first support system was in high school. It was a small organization that was designed to ensure these teen mothers graduated from high school. And so that was very vital to have a counselor within the school, talking and working with my mom, also coordinating care for my son and getting me to school and all of that. That was major because I was a National Honor Society student. But once I became pregnant, it's just like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? My dreams are ruined. I'll just give up. Right. But with the support that I've received, I'm where I am today. My son is actually a senior in high school. Oh my gosh. I'm like, oh my gosh, what happened? Time flies. But when you're intentional during those years, dusting yourself off, we all hear it, dusting yourself off, getting up and moving forward, and just working towards your goals bit by bit. My first goal was to graduate from high school. My next goal was to get a college degree. My next goal was to get married, but that happened way down the line. But I wasn't solely focused on that. I know that I wanted to create a home with a mother figure, a father figure, just a stable home. I wanted to provide that with my son. So I wasn't focused on relationships because I knew I just didn't want anyone coming into my child's life. But we'll talk about that a little bit more. But I'm here today. My son is a senior in high school. And so that's my biggest accomplishment, to see him thriving and ready to take on his goals and his dreams.
Thank you, Shandell. Okay, next we have Robin Daniels. You're on mute, Robin. Okay.
I'm not that tech smart, but I get it. I thank God for this day. I thank God for allowing me to be able to be with you guys today. Just to share with you, I was a teen mother at 18. My first child is now 40. So I thank God for that. The last one is 33. So I went through the first round of being, embarrassed, shamed, and disappointed in my own self because I was on my way to college. Could not go my first year because I was sick. But I thank God for my 2 grown adult children and what he's done in my life to transpire to let me be able to raise them with the support system that I had. And my biggest support system was my family, that nobody put me down. They didn't throw me out. They didn't say why on earth, what you did, didn't blame. They didn't do the blame game, but they loved me and they supported me and they helped me. So a family unit, will help you the most. Amen. For we as Black women know that, it's important to have our mothers and our aunts support, and that will keep us, that allow us to go out to do things to make a better life for our kids. So I'm grateful to that. So we'll get into my story a little bit more, but I'm thankful to be here to share with you guys.
Thank you, Robin. That's my cousin. Okay, next up we have Melissa Moore.
Hello, my name is Melissa Moore. I as well, I actually had my daughter when I was 18, but I was pregnant with her in high school at 17. When I graduated from high school, I walked across the stage. I was 6 months pregnant. So growing up, I did have support, not initially, but as God saw fit, he moved certain people in my life through a community program, which was called the Homewood Russian Family Support Center. And they did step in and, as God moved upon my family's heart, they did eventually, have some forgiveness for me and helped me as I went on. But it truly was a challenge every step of the way. But, God saw me through and I was able to go on to college. I remember actually taking my daughter in her car seat on public transportation to college with me. I was fortunate enough to go to an all-women's college, and it was a Catholic college. So the nuns thought I had a older child. I said, no, she's a newborn. And they said, that's okay, just bring her to class with you. So it was just challenging, but again, I thank God that He brought me through it, and I have to where I am now. I am married, I have 4 children, and just am truly blessed and now in a position to reach out as I am a teacher at a high school, so I'm able to pour back into people as I was poured into.
Thank you,
And
Melissa.
that's it for me.
Okay, next up we have Nikita Edmondson. You're on mute, darling.
Hello, ladies. Thank you for having me. I'm like a lot of you, I was 17 when I had my daughter. Also, being a pastor's daughter, it was very frowned upon. But with the support, I had the support from not only my family, but the entire church, our church as a whole. And that just really put at ease when I was embarrassed about myself and the situation. But I like what Shendell said, and it made me reflect on, you know what, I had that surrounding, and then just take those steps. You know, those small goals, those small steps. And that did not, just having a child at that age did not define me. It just added to, you know what, it added to me in the fact that, you know what, I have a responsibility to someone else, and it's a selfless act to love on that. And I had to let go and release all that negative emotions to, you know what, to be positive for someone else other than myself. So I have 2 children now, my oldest daughter, and I have a son.
Awesome. Thank you, Sissy. Okay, and next up we have Janella Clark. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. So my painters decided to come today instead of yesterday. So I had to get me and my son and the dog out of the house. But I'm so delighted to be here, you guys. I've been touched by everyone's story. Just the fact to know that there are other women that have been in my shoes and have clearly overcame that is just a blessing to me. But you know, I got pregnant with my son in high school at 17, and I had him at 18. And I grew up in a really strict religious family. So I was ashamed to tell my mom that I was pregnant, and I hid it from her for like 4 months. And she was measuring me for my sister's wedding, and she was like, okay, you kind of big, you know. So I was like, well, Mom, you know, I'm pregnant. And I thought that she was going to be disappointed in me because I was the praise and worship leader at church. I was over the children's choir, and I actually got pregnant the first time I had sex, you know, so it was unexpected, but it was a blessing for me. It totally changed my life. And I have a passion for working with young people because at that time in 1996, I didn't know about any resources. I didn't know who to turn to. So I'm so thankful for organizations like Lovie's Pearls that are able to give young ladies an outlet and let them know that someone is there for you, you know, especially someone that's been through it, that can actually relate to what you're going through. But I was able to make it, and with the support of my family, and everybody doesn't have family to lean on. So we can be that village that they are in need of. And so my son is 23 now, and, you know, it's just a blessing. Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you, Janella. And so before I bring you in, Dr. Ogletree, to start our conversation, I just want to briefly share kind of my connection with all of you. Nicole, I met you at church, and through our small group. That's how I think we first met. And so when I was telling you about Lovie's Pearls, of course, you told me you were a teen mom, and you were just like, oh my God, you know, anything I can do to help. And when we had our Christmas luncheon, you took on a girl and sponsored her wish list. So that was amazing. Shandell is actually one of our board members, and I met her through another connector that said, hey, you guys need to meet. You know, she was a teen mom, and I know she has a passion for it and probably would love to help. Again, Robin is my cousin, and she was probably my first or second introduction to someone being a teen mom, but I was a little girl, and what did I know? She had a baby, and they were coming into town, and I just couldn't wait to take her and change her diapers and feed her, and that's what I did. So I was her little babysitter when she came to LA. And Melissa, again, I met you at church as well, and I remember when, I don't know, out of the blue, you said something about being a teen mom, and I was like, what? I didn't know that. And so I was telling you about Lovie's Pearls. Melissa actually is one of the co-creators of our support group curriculum, and she and Shandell are facilitators for that. And Nikita, my sissy, I actually met you at church too, and didn't know for a good little minute that you were a teen mom. And Janella, met you at church as well. She's woman of God. And you were telling me your story when I told you about Lovie's Pearls and your passion to help. And I know we're going to connect and really do some wonderful things. So I thank all of you for your input. I thank you for your courage to share. And I thank you for inspiring me to keep doing this. I was not a teen mom, but God gave me the vision. And as I'm understanding it more and more, why it's important, I thank ladies like you for helping me to see why I have to do what I have to do. So thank you all if I don't get a chance to say it again before we end. Okay, so with that, Dr. Ogletree, I'm gonna let you ask some questions and then ladies jump in and let's just have a conversation.
All right. Well, first of all, I need to get my composure, because if I could tell y'all I'm full and like ready to fly, you would not understand just hearing each one of your stories. And I'm excited that this is being recorded, because I already have the desire to show this to my girls. So I'm already letting y'all know. I am, let me just tell you a little bit about my program, and I'm so glad to hear what you said, Shondell, and so then you can know where my questions are coming from. And so I'm in a school district that is very supportive of our program, and that's the first thing I want to say. And our program started in 1999, so other than Miss Robin, who said her children are 40. I know they weren't of the age group of this particular program, but many people do not know a program like us exists until needed. I frequently call us, we're the Superman, we're there to come in and save, but we're like Clark Kent, you don't know about us until it's time. And so our program is, we service all students in our district that are pregnant or parenting, and I always highlight that we also service fathers. That's another component, and we've really been building up serving our fathers, and we'll come back to that in later discussion. We are there to support our students academically, primarily to get them to graduate, and we have different ways that can occur based upon their needs and their schedule. I have 2 social workers that work with me in our parenting program. I'm blessed to have a bilingual social worker because that's a high needs in my particular service area too. We work on pregnancy, helping our students. We educate our students on pregnancy and parenting. And through, we find when we're identified a student who is pregnant, we want to walk them through that process, even though they may have family and doctors. But from a school standpoint, we want to walk them. We have videos, we have dolls, we have everything. We talk about labor, contractions, everything, and then we go into the parenting aspect and teaching them about that. We have the community support, which is how Lovie's Pearls comes in. And that's a big part of what I do, and reaching out into the community, having guest speakers. We also do presentations. 2 of our campuses have parenting classes where we actually have students that's their course, that's their scheduled course, and they're in for a semester, and we go through that. We get to have just those teen parents, and that is phenomenal. And Alicia can speak to that because she's been able to speak, because first of all, right there, I heard someone say they recognize they're not alone. The only students in those particular classes on those 2 campuses are either pregnant or parenting. So they get to hear from the experience of some of my parenting students if they're pregnant, but they get to walk together. But we also have speakers that we have come in every week that talk to them, from Texas Children to car safety to child CPR for your children, anything we can do to educate our children, our girls. And then something else that we do, because we want to encourage them to be in school, our district is part of NCI, or it is, I forgot the name just right now, but it is where our kids get to have free daycare. So we don't have a daycare on our campus as some campuses or certain districts do, but so that our students can have a safe place for their children and go to school, they get to go to daycare free. And I think we know daycare is expensive. And so and we use that as a way to encourage our kids to stay in school. And lastly, we get a lot of donations from contributors throughout the community for diapers, milk, food, strollers, car seats, so that anything that our students say that they have need of, they can't afford, we're going to make sure they have it. And so we provide them with those things. And we also use their grades, their attendance as incentive, so they can shop for their baby, so they can have some empowerment, so that they can choose what they want. They can choose the clothes. They can choose, and they get so excited when it's shopping day because they're buying for their baby. So that's just a little bit about our program. And so now I can go into some of my questions. And this comes from some of the experiences that I've had with my girls, and I've heard some of you talk about it. And I guess the first question I would like to ask to whoever wants to, or maybe several of you, is we try to really build the student, the person first. Because you can't be a great mom if you're not feeling good about yourself as a person. So that's very important. A lot of our girls come to us shame. We get girls who were 4 or 5 months pregnant because they didn't want to tell anybody. And so, you know, we spend a lot of time during the pregnancy and afterwards building up what we call the resilience, the bounce back. Your goals are not to be put off the shelf. They just may be delayed, but they should not be denied. And so we spend a lot of time with that, or even helping them have goals. So my question is, who were the people in your lives? I heard you say family, but if it was someone from a school standpoint or community outside of family, who was your village that helped you know that my life still has purpose?
Well, I would speak from that. I didn't speak on it, but actually, I was entering into my last year of high school when I got pregnant. So there was a school called K, pregnancy school, and it was strictly for that. And it was for teenage mothers, which they bused me back and forth to school every day, which was so awesome. But they prepared me for what I was about to endure. And I think without that, I just probably, because I was so upset. I'm like, I'm going to graduate high school, and here I am, about to have a baby. I want to finish high school. And luckily, back then, it was available to me, because when I found out about it, I was so happy. And so I left my high school, and I was able to go to that school for the entire semester. And luckily, right entering into that vacation period in December, the day that we got out, I went into labor with my son. So that was kind of funny, but the counselors there, they were so supportive. They taught me so many things, and then they kept up with me. So when school went back in for the next semester, I was able to go back to my high school and graduate with my class, which was really awesome. So here I was at my graduation with my son on my hip, a brand new baby. So that was very, very supportive. Me and my mom, we had a relationship, but my mom was also a teenage mom. And so it was like, I think because of my grandparents, and I stayed in a household with my grandparents, and my grandfather was a minister, but it was the love and the support from my grandparents that really helped me. And they always like, you don't have to be ashamed, you don't have to give up. And so with that, I was able to move forward. And then I was also blessed that my son also had a supportive dad, you know, even because this was his first child, and he was so excited, but he also was supportive, and his mom eventually became supportive. So that was also a blessing for me. So between that, we were able to, thank God, my son is soon be 30, and he's actually married, no kids. And then I also, right now, I have a 23-year-old without kids. And so with that, I mean, it was nobody but that was my main support. And that's how I was able to raise 2 great sons that I was able to pour into and teach them some of the things mistakes that I made, and had to teach them other ways. So thank God for that. So that was my support.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Anyone else? I don't know if anyone else wanted to. I see Nikita.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes, I had a nice circle of friends that we're still connect with that I went to school with. I did not see a lot of pregnant women or girls at my school. Heard about them, but I never saw them actually in class or come to school. My daughter, this is 1993, so there wasn't any, on campus. But I did make it a fact that, you know what, I'm going to go to school and push myself. And I had that support with my family. I had a wonderful support with my friends that were there, very protective. I may add, I never had to carry a book. It was my senior year as well. It was very important that I went back to school. And
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Melissa?
Miss Melissa, yeah.
For me, and which is why teaching is so dear to my heart, my initial support system was one of my teachers. Because I was feeling very down about myself. Unfortunately, I was kept in the general population with the students, so I got the jeers. Everybody had side conversations to say about me. And how I got pregnant, who I was pregnant by, all those things, the rumors started going. And I remember one day I was just feeling really down about myself. And she was a believer, and she just walked up to me and she just grabbed me and she said, I say to you, as Elizabeth said to Mary, blessed are you among women, that God would entrust you with the life of a child.
Wow.
He said,
Wow.
God would allow you to have a baby. That's an awesome responsibility. And for whatever reason, God saw fit to allow you to raise a child. She said, don't look down on yourself. And she bought me a plaque with Jeremiah 29:11 and said, I know the plans that I have for you, plans to prosper you, not plans to give you a hope in the future. And not just raise my spirit, so because I was at a low point. And she said, again, I was raised in a really strict Pentecostal home. My mother ignored me like I was invisible for 4 or 5 months. And it was really hard. I didn't know who to talk to. I didn't know what to do, where to go. Same, like we said, my church, unfortunately, it did not support me so much. It was just more, so I was ashamed. We actually had a service where I had to stand before the church and ask the members for forgiveness for becoming outside of wedlock, and if they would still accept. So I was, just at a really low point for me. Like I said, that one teacher that made a big difference in my life.
Yeah. Melissa, I want to thank all of you, Nicole and Nikita, and I think Chandel wanted to say, but I definitely want to come back to this because I heard all of you say about most of you had support, and I actually wrote your name down, Melissa, because a good number of my students are probably walking like you're walking. I have students who've been put out of their homes. I have students who are living with the father of their baby in very unhealthy relationships, but they just need a place to stay. And so I do want to circle back to that because I'm grateful for you all, that the rest of you who said you had that family in the church. But I definitely cannot leave this time together without highlighting what Melissa said, because it is a different, as I said, to build a mother to take care of her child and you have no support and you feel alone and you feel rejected. That is where we partner with Lovie's Pearls and me community villages like you, because I have students who are broken and lost, and that in itself is impacting their pregnancy. So I do want to come back to that, Melissa. But Chandel, you wanted to say something again about the support system?
Yes, Dr. Ogletree, I was going to start by saying, let me know if I'm jumping ahead, because I did have support system. I had the school counselor who was over the program in our school. My mom was supportive and just supporting me in being a mother, right? She wasn't trying to do everything for me, but she supported me and encouraged me. But as I listened to everyone's story through all that support, you know, I'm just kind of reflecting. It was the naysayers that really encouraged me. I had teachers who would walk up to me and be like, oh, Shandell, you know, they would give me that look.
Poor little thing, yeah.
I was in band and at the beginning through high school, and the band director, just another one lost, you know, and time again, I had the pity. And even, of course, as some of you mentioned, you know, the rumors and, you know, everyone talking and kind of, you're almost just dismissed, you know, and disregarded. But it was that really led me to say, you know what, this is not the end of my story. This is not the end of my story. And actually in my senior year, I actually paid for a little small portion, I guess just a small portion for seniors, and I put in there the best is yet to come. And that was my way of saying to everyone who was a naysayer, this is not the end of my story. You'll see. You will see. And he gets all the glory through, you know, as I mentioned, just goal by goal. I just set before myself and I will work towards that.
So before I go to my next question, Ms. Alicia, you know, I'm gonna need the names and contact numbers of all these ladies so that they will be able to speak to my girls. So I'm just putting that out there. When y'all receive their contact, don't shun me, you know, just know why I'm reaching out, but because this is what our girls need to hear. So I'm again grateful. Another question, and you know, from some different people that may want to add to this. So I think someone said they had it, but the question was, did any of you have a community support or faith-based organization outside of school, which is like Lovie's Pearls? Because Lovie's Pearls is definitely someone we have. There's another teen parenting, and they're just teen parenting programs but I know that's more new now, which is why I'm so excited. But from Miss Robin, Evangelist, any of y'all, outside of your family, outside of school, were there any community support individuals like Lovie's Pearls that assisted with diapers, assisted with anything? Because that's what Lovie's Pearls does. So I wanted to know, did you have a Lovie's Pearls?
I did actually, and I mentioned them earlier. And I mean, I don't know where I would be without that program had they not stepped in, because even as far as when I wasn't sure initially, I didn't tell I wrote my mom a letter because I was so scared, because like you said, I didn't know she was going to put me out. I didn't know what to do. And this program, it was in our community. The area I lived in was Homeward Brushing. It was called the Homeward Brushing Family Support Center. And somebody just mentioned it to me and said, well, why don't you stop past there and just walking around, and I was so nervous to go, and I kind of walked past the door and looked in there and wasn't sure if I wanted to go in and who to speak to, but they just welcomed me with loving arms. They would meet maybe twice a week, and they would prepare us dinner, and as you said, just give us the opportunity to sit with other teen moms to talk. They had somebody there to babysit the kids, so you know, for those who had children already, and they would babysit for you. Anything you needed, they would always ask you, do you need a stroller? Do you need diapers? Do you need a place to stay? Can we get you an apartment? You need a ride to the hospital for your prenatal visits, whatever you need. They said, please don't even be afraid. Even things like I had no idea if I was or how to go about applying for child support, trying to go to court and do all that. And they're like, well, do you even know God's like real name? And I'm like, well, guy's name is so-and-so, but I don't know his like full government name. And they're like, don't worry about it. We'll work on it. We'll get it. It's going to be okay. And, you know, had they not been there, I wouldn't know where to go and what to do.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. I think I saw your hand, Miss Robin, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, back in the 80s, we didn't have that kind of support. If it was out there, I didn't know anything about it in our community where I lived in New Orleans. So, it was just not available to me. But you had, like I said, you know, your village usually made up of your mom's friends and all of your aunts. Well, my mother was one of four daughters, so I had 3 aunts, and then I had 2 aunts on my dad's side. So you had support there, but other than that, no. And I'm so grateful today to know that there are programs like this that are for single moms, because I'm a product of generational teen moms.
My next question, I'm coming to that. Yeah, you go. Right.
Yeah. So, and me being the second grandchild of that side of my family, didn't know back then that I had a boldness in me from the Lord, because I was eventually I was introvert. I was very shy, but at that point in time, I was like, I declared nobody else would get pregnant teen in this family. I was the last one, because my older cousin had 2 by the time I got there.
Right.
So like, no, and she's like 11 months older than me. So I'm like, oh no, this is it. Just stop right here. And thanks be to God that when you don't even know that you're making a plea like that to him,
yes,
atmosphere,
yes,
that it comes to pass, and it has come moved down to generations. And I'm thankful for that. But had there been support like that, oh my God. No support, none like that. I mean, not even from the dad. I wouldn't get money from him, child support money from him, you know, none of that kind of stuff. But God was on my side all the way.
Thank you.
Thank God.
You brought up something. I don't know if someone else had something about Miss Janella. Oh, Miss Nicole. Okay.
It's funny that you said that, because I went to, it was a community center, and luckily where I was going for my visits, and it was a lady that worked in the community center, and she partnered up with Harris County, and she wanted to be able to have these classes for these teenage mothers. So we would meet. She talked about, she introduced us to breastfeeding, you know, your options in what you need to do. She taught us, you know, we had classes about how to change your diaper, things of that nature. And I was outside for that. So I was actually happy, because she would do like a community baby shower for the young ladies. And then we also, she introduced us to WIC, how to get milk for my child. Because I was like, WIC, what is WIC? So it was actually that community place where I was actually going for my doctor visits. And she's like, well, there's a such thing as Medicaid. And I'm like, well, I mean, I didn't know any of these things. So that community center was where I learned so many other things. And then she was the one who actually told me about the pregnancy school for the young ladies. So I actually learned all of that through that community program, and it was such a great program. But this lady, she actually was like you. She was working with the school districts. And so, so that was another source of help outside of my family.
Yes, thank you. And that's why, again, I solicit your prayers for what we do in the schools, because we do that just because, you know, we've been blessed to have the resources and everything you have said, each one of y'all said, as far as we talk about WIC, we talk about I didn't share this, some of our students who come to us who are pregnant they know they're pregnant because their body has changed and they've taken the EP test off of Walgreens, you know, but they've not gone to a doctor. So we are sometimes the first ones because they haven't told their parents. And of course, by law, we do have to tell their parents, but we don't, in the state of Texas, you don't have to have a parent to get a pregnancy test. So we go through the process of what our community that provides free pregnancy testing. And so we say, before we know what we got to worry about, let's find out if we really have something to worry about, you know? So we make sure we confirm the pregnancy. And then once we confirm the pregnancy, we will give our students the option. Do you want to share with your parent, or do you want us, or do you want to do it together? Because some of our students, as Melissa said, and some are terrified because they know their family environment. So we are there to support them every step of the way. And so if they are not comfortable in sharing with their parent, then we say we can do it together, or we can be the one. Of course, we always try to encourage them to do it together, because, you know, who wants to get a call, you know, to tell somebody that your daughter's pregnant if you haven't said it, but we'll do it together. So because we understand the reality that all families are not. We even talk to our students and say, and I tell them, I'm a grandparent, you know, I have children, but most parents have some kind of desire or goal or dream for their child, and one of them is not to be a teen parent. So if your parent is upset or quiet or angry, give them that. They need a moment. So we even talk to our students about that. They need a moment, you know, and some people just need a moment, as some of your parents have you said as your parents. And some parents, based upon different situations, their moments can be months, you know, or longer. But we're there for our children. And Evangelist, you said something, and I had this on my question too. I don't know where you were in your family, if you were the only teen parent or if there were other teen parents, but we do have that generational teen parent, right? And I would say about 80% of our students, their parents were teen moms. Some of my students' parents went to my program. They were in my school. They were in my district. We've had that. And so what we try to share with our students, because then that parent many times saying, I did not want this to happen to my child. So they got their own struggle. And then some of those parents are upset that it happened to their child because they said, I told you. And so in working in that generational piece, what, if anything, have you, and I know Ms. Robbins said, what, if anything, have you taken from your own experience that you feel is very important to share with anyone else in your family or your community? Not the shame of being a teen parent, but the reality of what happens when you are a teen parent, so that it doesn't continue, possibly, you know, the generational. Because we talk to our girls about birth control, because just because you have one, guess what? You continue those relationships, and now it's going to be challenging with one, but when you have two at 17, two at 19, so that is part of our conversation. What do y'all think about the generational piece? Give me some. I know y'all probably all going to unmute on that one, but
I stood open so I can jump in first.
yeah, I know.
Well, you know, like I said about the generational teen moms, the fact of the matter is that my mom was the youngest one of her siblings, and she and all of them, except for one sister who never had any children, but the other three all were teen moms, and their mom was a teen mom. Now, my grandmother was married, because now you got to remember my age, okay? I'm 59, so go back some years. So my grandmother was married, but she was still a teen. She was still when she had her kids. And my mother got married while she was carrying me. So like
yeah,
that.
you definitely have that.
So then after I had my baby,
oh no,
somebody's trying to get to me. But after I had my baby, I became engaged. So it was like, okay, we're going on in this thing, in this cycle. But my older cousin, that is, like I said, was 11 months older than me, had 2 kids. By that time I had my kid, then we had one together in the same year. So she had 3, and she's just 11 months older than me. But the cycle was continuing to be a mad thing. So that when I started raising my daughter, and before I started even raising my daughter, my mom used to give us books to read and tell us about how to know about your woman. It was a book called Woman to Woman. It taught you all about your body and your parts and how to take care of yourself and what and everything. And this was good information for me and my sister and my best friend. Because you know, like this old people used to say, show me your company, I'll tell you who you are. So me and my best friend both were pregnant at the same time. Our children are 6 weeks apart.
Wow.
But neither one knew what the other one was doing. We didn't tell each other that part of the stuff. But the thing is that I try to tell other girls and tell other people, because as we grow older, you know, be open, talk to your kids, that be open to receive whatever they wanted to come tell you. Be that, you know, be that parent.
Yes.
But yet, you know, on the other side, still be not, you know, you got to raise them, but don't not to be their friend. But at one point, you know, have girl talks and find out from them and learn things about them. I'm thankful to God that I raised my daughter in the church. And I thank God that even when I wasn't in church at a time, she was still going to church with my grandmother. So when I got fully saved and into the ministry and God called me, everything changed and everything was like, you know, we're going to do this and we do that. And I had the opportunity to minister to girls so much, till it was important to me that they understand just feelings comes and feelings go. You know, that little rub here and a rub there. If you're asking God to protect you, you have to know how to say no and tell yourself no. Because your feelings, your hormones will rise up. So it's the educational part of them being able to understand how a female responds to different
absolutely
It's very important. So,
absolutely.
So I'm like, you know, with the generational thing, it has to stop. So once you become in Christ and you find out about all these generational curses, you start realizing, okay, I break this bond. God gave me the power to do that. Okay, I'm gonna use that and start trying to break those ties. And I'm grateful because I was proud when my daughter got married. I was very proud. And some folks say, oh my gosh, she's got on all white. Yes, she had all white on and veiled. She was a virgin.
And that's something to celebrate. Yes.
3rd year in college. And I was celebrating. Yes, I was.
You should. Yes, ma'am.
That was my important thing. Even though I didn't get married, it was my point to raise my daughter to know that this is for married people. So hold and keep yourself in a way. So I had to teach her ways, and that made every girl in our church followed in that same pattern because I was there. Now I'm at the point in life where I got grandkids here, and then I have an home nurse daycare. So daycare is very expensive. So my thing, I provide a discounted daycare system. Well, I'm still teaching. I love the babies. I love to get them when they're infants. And so I want to love on your kids while you try to get yourself together too. So you got that space. Even if you don't have to work that day, you can still bring your kid to me.
Right. Because you're trying to, you have many lives that you still are able to touch.
Starting at a young age.
Very important today. So when you do that, you know, you share it and you're sharing the love and you're open to it. That generational thing that from generation to generation, it can be stopped. It could the cycle can be reversed and God can be glorified in it. And that's the whole thing of the matter is. Not saying that put anybody down that's something bad that they did or anything like that.
Right.
Because we all been there. Okay, we can all get that t-shirt. Hallelujah.
Right. Miss Chandel, you look like you were trying to say something too. Thank you, Miss Robin. What were you trying to say, Miss Chandel?
Yes, I was just, when she was talking about education, I firmly believe in that. My mom wasn't a teen mom, but I was. I have 3 brothers, and I was the only one who had a baby when I was a teen, right? And I know sometimes we try to be careful around saying that, it was a mistake, right? And so that was something that, I had to realize to make the difference between my choice was a mistake, but my child is.
There you go. That's exactly
Mhm.
what I say. Come on. Uh-oh, I
Yeah.
forgot we being recorded. I'm getting ready to
It
go. Yes.
was a mistake, right?
That's
Because that's the
it.
reality
Yes.
of it. That's not the
Yes.
optimal situation
Yes.
for you to
Yes.
be in, single with a child. Just, records show it. A two-parent household, children
Yes.
are more successful.
Yes.
And that's the environment that we want them to grow in. But education is key when it comes to breaking the cycle.
Education.
Right?
That's
And
it.
that's what Lovie's Pearls is all about, just
Yes.
education.
Come
Sometimes,
on, board member.
especially in minority communities,
Yes, ma'am.
if I support
Yes.
this teen mom during this situation of her making a bad choice, I'm supporting her bad choice. No,
Right.
you're supporting her growth and
Right.
her development,
Right.
who
Right.
she was created to be.
Right.
And so that's
Absolutely.
really important, education. So
Absolutely.
it's funny. Also, along with that, I'm just thinking my son and I, he's 17 now, and he has a little girlfriend.
Oh boy.
If she's watching, I love you, sweetie. She's a really good girl, and they encourage each other in the right area.
Mhm.
But when he was about 15, he and I would have discussions. Again, education.
Absolutely.
So we
Absolutely.
always had communication, and
Absolutely.
I always share with him age-appropriate detail about
Absolutely. Age
what
appropriate.
I want him to do,
Mhm.
what I don't want him to do. And it was
Mhm.
always clear in our household that I don't want you focusing on relationships. Have friends.
Yes.
Right.
Relationships are for
Right.
when you're older.
Right.
Because
Right.
you get all your goals out of the way, and then that's something that you can begin to focus on. So they're good
Mhm.
friends to say all of that. But when he was 15, he was like, I think I want to get married young
Oh.
so that I can have my kids young. Because he's thinking about, us teen moms, when we parent well, they kind of, it's like, that's what I want. He was like, I want to be able to cross my son in basketball when he's young. So we're still having that conversation.
Right.
Age appropriate education.
Right.
No
Yes.
key. Secrecy is not the way.
Right.
Secrecy is not the way.
That's
We,
right.
we have to share, even with parents, share our hurts and share our difficulties, and
Yes.
also get them to be able to see this is the way it should be. Have those
Right.
healthy examples
Yes.
of life. And sometimes we have to give our children those healthy examples through family.
Yes.
Family, perhaps they have, healthy examples. For me, it was at church. He was able to see healthy examples, and I
Mhm.
always made it a point to point that out.
Mhm.
Right? Sometimes we
Mhm.
choose things and they're not optimal. So what do we have to do? We have to learn from that. But
Yeah.
Right.
education, age-appropriate education, and for the teen moms who are watching, just knowing that your choice was a mistake, but your child
You're
is
not a mistake.
I love it.
Yes.
I love
Thank
it.
you. I
Let
know
me
our
pass
time
it
is
over to
running
him.
out.
It is, but
Right.
let me
You
make
get ready to tell me about the
sure.
time.
Yeah, let me make sure, Janella, I know you're
Because
having.
I wanted to, that's what I was going to pull from,
Yeah.
because I hadn't heard from her, and I saw her make a comment in the chat. There she is.
There she is.
I was thinking the same thing. And I wanted to ask, I was going to ask you a different question if you don't mind,
Okay.
because I know your
Okay.
son. I wanted to ask you, I couldn't remember. I wrote your name down, and I think you said about the village, and I know you talked about. So I wanted to ask you, with your son being an adult and grown, what is it that you need the village to know? What is it, because sometimes the village can be there and they don't know the value. They like the person that helped you, the teacher that
Right.
spoke, and because we want this recording to touch many people, not just the teen parents, but people who have contact. What is it that you think the village needs to know as their value into the life of a teen parent?
Well, to speak on value and to piggyback about what you guys just said, I made an effort to break the generational curse with my daughter, who's now 21. I have 3 children. My oldest son that I had as a teen is 23, and my daughter is 21, and my youngest son is 18. He's a senior in high school. But I put an extra effort towards my daughter to show her her value and her worth and how much she's loved. Because what I noticed with some of the teen moms that I worked with at my former church is they didn't have anyone telling them that they loved them, that they were worthy, you know, that they were beautiful. So the first guy that came along and told him that, it was kind of like, you know, okay, I'm ready to go all the way with him. And so my daughter is now an adult, and you know, we did break the family curse because my mom was a teen mom. So the fact that she knows that she's loved and that the price on her body is not just to be given away and sold, you know, so to speak. So that kind of, you know, broke that curse. But as far as the village, I have to say that it was my faith in God. You know, if you don't believe in anything, you'll fall for anything. You know, it's good to have some type of prayer life, you know, because I really do believe the way that I was raised in church helped me get over the stigmatism and the shame of being a teen mom. You know, I had my family, but I didn't have anyone else because I grew up as the saying that we all know, what goes on in this house stays in this house. You know, so I wasn't really fortunate enough to have an outside village, but I made sure that any teens that I came across, that they knew about different social services. Now that I know about Lovie's Pearls and your organization, Dr. Ogletree, that just gives me more hope that there's help out here for these young ladies. But they have to start with loving themselves first.
So I know we're getting ready to wrap up, and you know, I think we all believe we could cover this topic because we're very passionate about it. But if I could get maybe just a quick word from of you all, and it goes back, we talked about so much, but I want to close it to something I said I wanted to circle back. If you have the mic, or just say you're talking to one of the girls or the fathers, because I don't want to underestimate. I work with some dads who really are trying to step up, want to step up, and they'll have a mom say, you don't know if that's your baby. You know, they have a lot of, and they don't let them take the supportive role like they want to. So our role is working with parents, mothers or fathers. But if you could give a brief sentence or a brief encouragement to the teen mom, 14, 15, 16, that does not have the family support, that does not have faith, does not know how to pray, does not have Christ yet, they're struggling, and they're pregnant and they're scared. And if you could look at them and just say something that's their lifeline, what would each of you say? That's the question I have for each of you as we're preparing to clear out. What would you share as a lifeline? And I'm gonna just go from the top because each one of y'all get to have a lifeline. Now remember, it's a lifeline. We're not giving them a whole rope. You know, we gotta have time. Nicole, I'll start with you. What would be your lifeline to that person that felt like nobody was there for them?
My lifeline would be to just keep going, to embrace whatever help someone is trying to give you. Don't think that they're trying to be against you, but just know that if they're offering the help, accept the help and see how far you will get with that help. So I would definitely tell them to embrace that help, because a lot of times they won't embrace it. And it seems like you're talking to them and it seems like it's coming through one ear or the other, and they just don't know because they haven't had the help. They don't know how to accept the help.
Absolutely. I thank you for that.
So, yeah.
That's good. Chandel, what would be your lifeline?
I would say for those who are feeling like they're alone and just distraught, educate yourself. Educate yourself. It can take you so far. It can take you so far.
Absolutely.
If you feel like individuals are talking to you and it's not, you know, it doesn't make sense, educate yourself.
Find out.
You're going to find something that resonates with your heart. It's going to resonate, and no one can take that away from you.
Absolutely.
And whether it's learning about parenting, it's looking into, am I in an abusive relationship? What can I do? Educate yourself. We're in the age of technology, and at your fingertips, you have all of the information you need to take the initiative to educate yourself.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Miss Nikita, what would be your lifeline?
My lifeline would be just to tell them to be honest with your feelings.
Yes.
you're feeling, and be ready when someone says, sometimes, you know, people come to you, you don't want to express that. My husband says all the time, closed mouths don't get fed. So it comes to you and tell you, hey, I'm, then be honest with your feelings with that person, because they're not just saying that just because, they're saying it because you know what, they mean that.
Yeah.
Set up with them, tell them, hey, I'm really feeling down, I'm feeling lonely.
Yeah.
Take that what they're offering, seek that for yourselves, you know, and it's okay to have those days, those feelings.
Yes.
Help build yourself up.
I
That's
love it. I
good.
love it.
That's
I
good.
love it.
Thank
And
you.
that some of them do struggle with that. I appreciate that. You giving them permission to feel and speak. Yeah, I love that. Miss Melissa, what would you say would be your lifeline? Oh,
You're
you
muted.
mute.
You're muted, Melissa.
All right, sorry about that. The same as what was said to me. Know that God has a plan for your life,
Yeah.
and He wants to prosper you and not to harm you.
Mhm.
And just again, as Miss Edmonds has said as well, it's also a biblical principle to say that you know, you have not because you ask not. So make sure that you reach out. You're not a disappointment. It's okay. Life goes on, and we will take those things that we have in front of us, and we'll move forward, and it's gonna be okay.
Oh, thank you. Awesome. I love that encouragement. Miss Evangelist Robin, what would be your lifeline to that person who feels like they have no hope, no support? You have to
You're
unmute.
muted. You're muted, Robin.
There
Okay.
you go.
My lifeline would be to tell them that, I know it seems dark and scary right now, but you're going to make it through this.
Yeah.
You're going to you're going to see. Right now you can't see, but you will see that this is working for your good, that you're not alone. You're not the first, nor will you be the last.
Not the
So
first. Yeah.
keep going and go forward.
Yeah.
Have tunnel vision. Keep your vision in sight.
Yeah.
And know that God is going to move for you. Even if you don't know it, then you can't feel him. He's still there for you. So go forward.
Yes. Thank you. And then Miss Janella, what would be your lifeline to that same young girl who has said, I don't have anybody, I don't know what to do?
I would say that this is not the end, but the beginning of your life. It's not the end, but the beginning.
Okay.
That's
it. That's it. She said, that's it. Beginning, not the end.
Practicing social distancing and this.
Yeah, I see. So
before
I turn this over to Miss Alicia, I want to thank you each personally for your time, your testimony, your words. I have so much that I've taken from nuggets. I'm encouraged even the more so of what I do. I know I'm doing ministry. Alicia knows that. And my girls know, come here, Miss Ogletree, you got to pray for. I have oil in my office. Okay, so I'm serious about what I do. Okay, and even if I don't just talk church, I talk Christ. I show Christ. I show love, because you got to show love, and then they'll be ready to hear about it. So I show the love, I show the support, and then when I get them with faith-based places, they're not so afraid, because they know if they connected to Dr. Ogletree, they're gonna extend the love. So I said, this is my friend, this Miss D, that's my friend. And so they know I'm not gonna bring them into the company of anybody, if I can, that will hurt them. So that's how I try to do what I do. So I thank you for what y'all have done, and I thank you for this time. And Lovie's Pearls, you know right here. Look, I'm still doing Wakanda forever, okay? So so I turn it over to you, and thank you for letting me moderate and host this.
Oh my goodness, I am so overwhelmed. Thank you, ladies, everyone. Dr. Ogletree, we spoke briefly, and I said, just get some questions, and man, you did exactly what I had in my mind. I didn't know exactly.
Praise God, praise God.
But you did exactly what I wanted you to do, so I thank you for that. I want to touch on one thing We're a little bit over time, but I just want to make sure I get this message out, especially in our churches. We are not as Christ-like as we should always be. And so I want to point out that I, aside from my cousin, and maybe Chantel, I didn't meet you in church, but I met all of these ladies in church. And I want you to just know God loves them and he loves you. And if you're not a believer, that's okay. That's okay. Like Ms. Ogletree said, we won't always just, talk Christ. We're just going to show you Christ, and it's for you to accept. And so what I want for us as Christians, believers, whatever your faith is, to understand how damaging it can be to be critical, judgmental, and not be encouraging to any young lady who finds herself pregnant. Just like Chandel pointed out too, the mistake was the choice, not the child. And for the grace of God, some of us are just lucky that it didn't happen to us, right? So I just want to put that out and encourage teen moms that this is why Lovie's Pearls exists. And there are other organizations that exist as well to help you, to encourage you, to empower you. And that's what Lovie's Pearls is trying to do. We just want to empower you to move forward because it is not over.
Da, 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 da. Things don't always go according to plan. But believe me, I understand. Right here is where you take a chance. Empower your life. Empower your life. You were born to thrive. You were born to thrive. You don't have to face the world alone. When you need a safe space, you can't go wrong. Call in Lovie's Pearls. Lovie's Pearls. Call us when you need. Here at Lovie's Pearls. Lovie's Pearls. You're destined to succeed. Lovie's Pearls. Lovie's Pearls.